Hey guys, how you doing today? Hope you're good, hope you're well, hope you're staying safe. You may notice that I have again changed where I'm sat. In my last video I talked about that I had created a Harry Potter shelf, and with everything that's going on with the whole, I have been referring to her as Joke.K.Rowling right now, I feel like as much as I will never stop loving Harry Potter, I will still call myself a very proud Ravenclaw because I am. Hogwarts is still my home. Harry Potter has been such a massive part of my life that it's so hard for me to be able to just instantly go, no, not supporting it anymore, done. Like, I can't do that. I physically, it's so ingrained. So like I said, I'm not going to go out of my way to get any licensing, and I will never, ever in my life support J.K. Rowling again. As far as I'm concerned, she is dead to me. But Harry Potter is not. So that's what I wanted to say to all my trans friends, my trans community. If there are any of you out there that are somehow following me and you are trans, I love you. Like, I do not support what she says. I do not condone what she says. I abhor everything that she has said. If you are a woman, you are a woman. If you are not a woman, you are not a woman. That is your choice, and nobody gets to tell you what constitutes as and as not being a woman. I don't want to swear on this channel, but fuck her. Fuck her opinions, and just fuck everything about that vile toxicity. Now that I've got that out of the way, on to today's video. Yeah, the reason I'm in this area rather than in the really nice setup that I have is because that setup has quite a lot of Harry Potter stuff, and then I realised that I need to adjust my entire setup, and it was so much easier to just come into my bedroom, set my camera up in front of the to be read shelves that are looking a little bit empty, but I promise you over the next 3 videos they are going to fill very quickly. And so I'm going to go back and rejig that space, and hopefully soon I'll be able to like move some shelves around in there so I can make it a proper good setup. For a second there I thought I wasn't recording. Oh my god. Oh. Can I just go back to bed please? But I did kind of have about a 4-week period where I just did nothing because I physically could not bring myself to. There is also the fact that both myself and Rob were very unwell at the end of March, beginning of April. I had what I thought was a cold at first. It was my last week on my placement and I was like, I just need to get through till Friday and then I can be sick, be ill. If we need to self-isolate, we will isolate, but this is just a cold. And then on the Monday, as I was on my way home, Rob told me that he was sent home earlier in the day because he had COVID symptoms. So I had 2 options. Option 1 was to stay in a hotel that night, go back to school the next day so I could collect all of my things and then go home. Option 2 was to go home because if he had symptoms of COVID, there was a very likely chance that I either had or was going to have, and therefore I needed to reduce any risk and any possibility that I was a carrier, and basically we needed to self-isolate that night and start off. I am so glad that I chose option B because over the next 3 days I could barely breathe. I was coughing like crazy. What I thought was a cold very quickly went straight onto my chest, and even now it's been, what, 8 weeks maybe since then, and there are still the odd days where if I go up the stairs too fast I struggle to catch my breath, which normally, yes, I have mild asthma, but not to the point that I can't climb up the stairs. As for Rob, it was even worse. He woke up on the Tuesday and he was so unwell, I genuinely thought he was going to die. And yeah, when I think it was Thursday, he still showed no signs of improvement. He stood up from the sofa at one point and nearly passed out because he couldn't breathe and because of how lightheaded he went. And I was this close to calling an ambulance. The only reason I didn't was because he was kind of like, I really don't want to go to hospital. I'm not dying. I feel ill, but I don't feel like I'm like intensive care ill. I still argue that he possibly should have gone. If nothing else, he would have been tested and we would have known, because we both had these symptoms, we both had this illness, we're both still struggling with our recovery from it. So I am about 90% certain that we both had COVID. I can't prove it. We haven't been tested because here in the UK we weren't able to qualify or request a testing kit, and now we kind of feel like, well, is it too late to get tested? Like, will it still show up that we did or didn't have it? So we're now looking into that. As a result of all of this, it meant I had a lot of time for my head and my brain to drift and to go onto Facebook and to go onto Goodreads, which turns out is a really bad idea because in total I don't think I've actually counted how many I've got, so I'm going to quickly do that now. In total I have 30 books. I think there's about 5 more that are scattered around the house and I just couldn't be bothered to get up off the floor and go and get them. I haven't read anywhere near as many as 30 books. I have read some of these. Some of them are on my list for this month. I have a lot to read. So what I'm going to do over this, I'm going to just split this up into, I'll do April's books, because March we ended so late, there's no point. So I'll do April, May and then June, because for June I'm going to record it, but I'll have to do a part 2 because I know of at least another 5 books, I believe, that are still on their way to me. So I'm just waiting for those to arrive. I have now put myself on a book ban, which is really hard because on Facebook I'm on like 4 different groups that have secondhand book sales. So I'm a little bit concerned about that one and how I'm going to actually do that one. Okay, I have books on the wrong piles. Go me. So we're going to start off with April. This is the stack of books that I got in April. We have 8 in total. As I go through, I will also list where I got them. There is one in this pile I have literally no idea. I can't remember where I got it from. I think it was a book box. I cannot remember. If you know any book boxes or anything like that where I could have possibly have got it from, please do let me know. So I'm going to start with that book, and that book is Wilder Girls. It's a quarantine type story and they're trying to escape quarantine, which I'm kind of like, it's very apt for today's mindset, let's say. One of my favourite places to order books from, because they do a lot of special editions and signed editions that I've not seen anywhere else, is actually Forbidden Planet. Most people think of Forbidden Planet for like geeky nerdy stuff to do like comics and things like that. However, they also do books and they're not badly priced. So I got Looking Glass by Christina Henry, who is, if you watched my videos from last year, you'll remember that I absolutely raved about Alice, and then I was extremely disappointed in Red Queen. But then this story kind of, it's 4 novellas that some of them are set after, I think one of them is set before the events of Alice. And it kind of, a lot of that stuff that I loved, so like that rawness, the brutality, the realness and the grittiness, it was back. Certainly when we got Hatcher's origin story, I loved it, it was great. But then there were a couple of bits where I was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure about this, don't really like it. But what I love about this book is the beautiful work on the edging. And I got a little signed book plate as well with it, which is awesome. Also from Forbidden Planet, we have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. Again, signed, I believe. Yes, it does say signed on the front. I literally know nothing about this book. I don't even think I've read the blurb yet. No, I have not even read the blurb. I just have heard so many good things. And I was like, I really have to have this book, and it looks beautiful, and I'm just like, okay, I have no idea what this book is about. Probably should get onto that. The last book that I got from Forbidden Planet, I actually ordered this back in, I think end of March, and then it arrived, I think, like the very last day of April. It was originally due to be released, I think, on March the 27th, but there was a delay, and then there were stock issues, and then there was dispatch issues, but eventually I got it. It's a graphic novel. It's called Once and Future. It is awesome. Just look at the artwork. This is the story of a group of people discover Excalibur, and they're basically trying to bring King Arthur back from the dead to fulfill this prophecy. And you have the main characters of this story are the grandma and her grandson, and from what I understand, the grandma basically breaks herself out of a retirement home to go and save the world, and drags her very uncooperative and unwilling grandson, who is a scholar, along with her. We then have the books I got from the book depository. I don't have any affiliate links, unfortunately. I wish I did. I might ask them one day for them to try and get some free shipping and things, but right now, because of COVID, they have got a free shipping on all orders. Yeah, the first book I got from that was Heartstopper, so again, another graphic novel by Alice Oseman. This is basically a boy who is known, he's out, he's gay, everyone knows he's gay, he gets teased a bit for it, and he ends up meeting this other guy who's like quite popular, does sport, does rugby, and he's, to everybody's knowledge and to his own knowledge, he is straight. They form a really good friendship, and then eventually something changes and they start to see each other differently, and it's a really heartwarming, a really beautiful story that had a really lovely, I haven't read part 2 and 3 yet, but the end of part 1 kind of left me going like, no, I need part 2! So that's going to be on order very soon. And then going beyond over the pond back to America, we have Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which follows Kath and Ren as they go to university. And Kath writes a ton of fan fiction about this guy called Simon Snow, who is basically like this book's version of Harry Potter. And she spends her whole life writing fan fiction, to the point that to her the fan fiction is real and real life is a story, and she doesn't feel connected to the real world. She feels more connect with the fictional world and the fictional presence and the online presence she has. And it's almost like she's terrified to have real life relationships. I can relate so hard to this. I was that awkward nerdy girl in school. I'm still, even though I've been in a relationship now for 3 years, I am still terrified of him. And I'm still terrified of the idea of being in a relationship. So I don't know how I've managed it. I don't know how he's managed to put up with me not being able to do it, but between us we've got there. But I get it, like I feel more comfort when I'm in books. Books are my safe place. Writing fan fiction, that is my safe place. And throughout the book she gets encouraged to try writing her own stories and her own fiction. And I'm going through that process right now. I've just joined a writing society. It's now planned. I'm now getting ready to start writing my first novel. And it is terrifying putting yourself out there, because this isn't somebody else's creations. This is my baby, my creations, my characters, and I'm so scared of getting it wrong. But yeah, Fangirl, this was my first 5-star read of the year, by the way. I have read this one and I loved it. My last 2 books for April are both limited editions because they're both from book boxes. First one is Havenful by Sarah Holland. This was the Illumicrate edition. For how small it is, I can't believe it's 300 pages, and I still can't get over how tiny this book is for a hardback. But it is so beautiful. It's like shiny, and it has the most gorgeous blue colouring. It's signed by the author and everything. And from what I understand, it's basically like a girl in Colorado that can like transport into another world, and it's got elements of like Narnia and things in there, and I loved Chronicles of Narnia growing up, so I'm looking forward to this one. I did have a very slow reading month because of being so sick in April. In end of March to probably mid to end of April. I only read like 2 things because I was too unwell to do anything. I spent most of my time listening to audiobooks. I bought a PlayStation on the 28th of March, the day after we went into isolation, because I was like, if I'm going to be in isolation, I need video games. I need something to keep me going. And so I bought that, and then Rob bought me the special edition of the Final Fantasy remake. So that was basically April for me, was Final Fantasy and a couple of books and being sick. It wasn't fun. But then my last book, which was actually the March book for Fairy Loot, but obviously due to COVID there's been a lot of delays in getting items out and getting stuff to us. So like we got the March book in end of April, we got the April book at the end of May, so we've just had that one. The May box apparently we should be getting sort of in a couple of weeks, and then hopefully they'll be able to get the June box out. So there will be like 1 month where we'll probably end up with 2 boxes in 1 month, which I'm not complaining about. But yeah, so that was Bone Crier's Moon, which I think actually is one of the most beautiful covers that I have seen. Like, just look at the colouring. It's shiny, it's shimmery, it's beautiful. It has a signature by the author. And we have art on the reverse of the cover. It's so pretty. That is my April wrap up. I bought multiple books. I read few books. There was a lot of sickness, there was a lot of depression, and a lot of issues with mental health, but as you can tell, we're okay now. And I'm gonna pause this video, I'm gonna end this video here, and then the next one will be May's purchases and reading wrap up, and then there'll be a third and final one which will be like June part 1, and then probably at the end of June I'll then start doing proper wrap-ups and TBRs and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, I am gonna go. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao!